We have to care about the agents.
Intention, consistency, authenticity.
Welcome back. I am here with our head photographer and my first hire, Jojo Corsi. Joe, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Tremendous. Joe, I don't know if the last time we did a podcast, if anybody kind of knew who you were, where you're from. So why don't we kind of like get into that, let everybody know where you're from.
Yeah, I'm from South Florida, born and raised.
Jupe.
Palm Beach Gardens, yeah, Jupiter.
Jupe,
Not many people
PCL,
know.
PSL.
I went to high school there, grew up in Jupiter.
Pumpkin spice latte, yeah.
Moved back down to Jupiter after I graduated high school. I went to college at UNF. I got my bachelor's there.
Shout out Ospreys.
Yeah, I was only there a couple years.
Sick.
But I concentrated in
study?
photography, got my degree in fine arts, and I've always had a passion for photography, though, all my life since I can remember.
All right. I didn't know you had a fad. That's cool. Fine arts degree.
I've
But
never heard that before.
that's what everybody used to call
I
it.
don't
I'm
like that.
Yeah, I was like,
I don't like it.
I'm just a graphic design major. Yeah, that's what everybody used to call it. I'm fad. That's cool. I'm going to leave. Anyway, no shade. But so Joe is my first hire. And the day of your interview, I was only me.
It was right after COVID.
Yeah, it was me and somebody else. And we were still trying to figure it out. They were like, basically when I first started, it was just like, hey, we need to do all these things. I was like, okay, cool. And I remember DJ sent me a GIF and it was like SpongeBob holding like that crazy long receipt and just like going like this. And DJ just sent me the GIF and goes, Todd, right now. So as we started to check these things off the list, hiring more people, expanding, one of those things were a photographer, because I was shooting all the homes. I was also shooting all of our content. I was also managing our social. I was doing all these things. So once we knew we were going to have this large contract where we'd have to list all these homes with this large commercial buyer, it worked out. I was like, okay, we need to hire a photographer. So I talk about it a lot, is like a talent and like an eye for the aesthetic. It's like, I think it's like this intangible quality that so many people want, but like not many people have. I mean, think about you're combing on the internet, or you're just like, we do it all the time, send it to each other. We're just like, this is not it.
Awful.
This isn't it.
It's all about composition.
Right. But like people think, they're like, this is good. The only thing I could equate it to is like getting dressed in the morning. And then you're like, did you get dressed in the dark? None of that matches. But so you studied architectural photography, which is what I think attracted me to you and the work you brought in, because I'm like, okay, she's shooting these buildings, but she's looking at them totally differently. Like I remember specifically, and I'm going to have to get you this photo, Matt. It's literally was like a photo of a door, but it wasn't dead center, which normally my style and aesthetic would like yield like a Wes Anderson, like symmetry. Right. And then there was another one of like this, it's like the top of a weird building, but it was like just the corner and then like the sky. And I was like, this is so weird in the best way, because you're capturing like the character of the building, the house, whatever it is.
Exactly.
Cut to training you to shoot real estate photography, which is very trainable. YouTube videos. We got to do a series with you on how to shoot real estate photography. But now we're kind of shifting, right? So from originally, what did the market look like when we were shooting these homes? What was kind of like the status of the market when you signed on?
At first it was a little slow, but right when winter took off in 2020.
2020 going into 2021, yeah.
Right. The market just skyrocketed and everyone just wanted a home. So we were kind of just fast-paced. I remember we would list like 30 houses a week at one point, and it was just absolute chaos.
30 homes a week.
Right.
You're not kidding. How many homes? Yeah, right. How many homes do you think you shot in year one? What did we say?
500?
Yeah, it was something dumb.
It was crazy.
It was crazy because you were like, it was probably this, and Matt's like, I shot that many homes as like an overflow. You shot significantly more because you were shooting our listings and those homes.
Right. Yeah, it was a crazy amount and with a crazy timeline. So we were just 7 days a week shooting, 8 houses at one point in one day. It was wild.
Yeah, I remember that. In some of those homes, what were some things that would fly then that probably won't fly now? Like if you're seeing those same listing photos, what's going to be like the number one probably objection?
Probably you want to go into a home with obviously it looking perfect, but I feel like now people would benefit doing all the things, including, you know, the basics of toilet lids down and blinds up and as bright as possible, and maybe get out old furniture, put it in the garage. Like back then it was just, it didn't matter what was in the home.
What about a big shower curtain that says FU across it?
Right.
Probably gonna want to pull that out.
Maybe. If not, I would just
You and I
edit
have
it.
both gone into two separate homes where that has been the shower curtain.
Right. Yeah, it's a weird aesthetic to have in your house, but hey, if it works, it works.
What about, so I know this is from a photography standpoint, but you've seen a lot of homes, you've shot a lot of homes. Give some knowledge to some other listing agents not with us why you would not leave a bedroom painted garnet and gold striped.
So when you have a showing, or even when you're on the internet and you're swiping through all these photos and you come across a photo that looks wonky and the colors are just weird, it's hard for someone to put themselves in that room or to think about what that room would look like if they were to buy it, especially if they're Gator fans.
But that's a fair argument. And I think a lot of people are just like, no, it's fine. I mean, think about how many times where we were shooting those homes because it was like on the market, off the market, on the market, off the market, where they're like, yeah, there's 6 pods in the front yard. Like that wouldn't fly now.
No way. Now we just have to pay more attention to detail and incorporate even detailed shots in our listings.
So let's get into something that you've come up with kind of on your own that we've started implementing into our listings. And again, this is for if you're a listing agent somewhere else, these are some things you'll probably have to discuss with your photographer, which might incur extra cost, et cetera. But like kind of, what are we doing now?
So you definitely want to make sure the home is painted, repainted if, you know, it's 10 years old, maybe even 5 years old, depending on what went on in the house, because that makes a huge difference at the end of the day. Et cetera, Right, yeah, all that. But so now we're getting into shooting like more detailed shots of the home and kind of wanting to make the viewer keep clicking and keep viewing the home on the MLS.
What are the detailed shots doing for someone who's looking at them? Are they just like, wow, this is a cool photo?
I think they're intrigued on seeing themselves in the home, like, oh, this person did that, I kind of like that. I could see myself, you know, making coffee on this coffee bar. That's really cute. Let me see what the next room looks like.
Right, versus from this weird, obscure, wide angle, making sure you're hitting 3 walls, showing how big or how, you know, vast a kitchen or a space is. It's more cozy, quaint, personal, like you can see, right, yourself making coffee.
Right.
I think that's really important. In conjunction with not pricing it to the moon and then realizing in 4 weeks, yeah, the price is probably pretty high.
Right.
You know, that's great. Like, let's shoot. But I think a lot of people got confused where the market was priced based on the demand versus the physical home.
Definitely.
And I think we did a great job leveling off, figuring out. We always do a pretty deep audit on like why our buyers are buying specific properties. Like I think we have probably one of the lowest, if at all, buyer remorse situations.
I would agree.
Yeah. But I think the biggest takeaway is that when we're showcasing these properties, we're trying to get the buyer to understand wholeheartedly what their life or tenant's life would be like inside of this home.
Right.
I mean, right, you're not going to spend, and I think there's something to be said there that I want you to speak on. Is like, it's not really the price point of the home, it's what the intent is of the home, which kind of is reflective in price point. So like, would you take these detailed shots of a very clear-cut rental investor property?
Probably not.
Right.
Right, because it's probably going to be vacant, so there's not going to be many details to hit.
Right.
Whereas if it wasn't vacant and occupied by, you know, a designer or someone who knows how to decorate, I kind of take pride in that I can see things a different way than other people when they're viewing a home, especially when going into so many homes. And just a simple, you know, a fake plant, like you can just get so much from just that plant by zooming in
Right.
or just like creating the vibe and creating the aesthetic for the viewer.
Right. I think there's also something to be said back to the aesthetic of like the eye and talent for like the eye of the aesthetic, right? Like making sure like, okay, it's one thing to take a close photo of coffee cups hanging under a thing, but like there's a very happy balance between this is a detailed shot of capturing the character of the home. This is the inside of a coffee mug.
Right. Like, I feel like I studied that a lot in college. Composition goes a long way.
Right.
So it's just all about what's attractive to the eye and knowing what's attractive to the eye, no matter who's viewing it.
What are some points that you would give other agents to look for when even dealing with their photographer? Like, what are some kind of things that an agent would be able to maybe talk the talk to their photographer? Do you have anything that you'd be like, hey, look for these things?
I feel like the easiest way to go about having your listing set up properly is like toilet lids down, every single fan is off, all the blinds are open but down. Every single light, every single lamp on, as much light as possible. Garbage bins in the garage, food bowls of pets, that's a big one. Food beds, like everything cleared
Right.
off the countertops, like the list goes on. But
Toothbrushes, toothpaste,
gross.
tissues, right?
Put them away.
Like, do you want to go into somebody else's house or even look through photos and you're just like, yep, there's someone else's toothbrush?
Right, or like little things like even having your laundry in your washing machine and then the camera angle is right towards
Right.
the wash, and just like seeing someone's underwear, like just
So you go into this bathroom. It was like literally turned over. It had expired from somebody else.
a couple months ago.
Right. We picked it up and you walk in and you're photographing it because our listing agent, like, it was literally thrown together.
Right.
Like, it was very much
They're
like
like,
a,
we need you as
right.
soon as you can.
So
get
we
in
were,
there.
long and short of it, we were on the buy side with these people. They disclosed later that they're like, yeah, we're going to buy this. We're going to sell our house anyway because, you know, why are we going to keep this? We're not investors in the long run. We're not property managers. We don't need to have the second home too. It's everybody's dream to build wealth and own real estate. But at the end of the day, you kind of have to really be cut out for it. It's not like very as passive as you think. So Joe walks into this house, goes into this bathroom, and finds what in the bathtub?
Just a whole bin of laundry just thrown and dumped in the tub of this, like, it was a nice tub, like a garden tub. And I'm like, you'll definitely be able to see that in the photos for
Right.
sure.
So, like, you don't think if you're taking photos of this bathroom and the laundry is filled, the tub's filled with laundry, that's not good?
I'll say this. I feel like if you were to outsource a photographer for your listing and they walked in, you already paid them, they're going to do the bare minimum to get the job done and leave. I don't think they would remove, like, I definitely found a laundry bin. I'm like touching other people's clothes, putting it in the bin because you want the best possible outcome, because you want to make it appealing to the eye. And
Right.
if someone sees a bunch of, laundry in the tub, they're going to be like, oh, who does that? Rather than, wait, I would love to take a bath in that tub.
Right. Let me ask you this. How easy would it have been to just Photoshop that out?
Hours.
Yeah, right. Like, that's my favorite thing, and I always get like, well, you can Photoshop that out.
That's the best
Yeah.
when people say that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no. So here, this is it's $200,000. Can you make it look like a suite in Las Vegas? You
Sure.
can Photoshop that, right? No doubt. I will
Definitely.
say this though: we do get a ton of compliments, and our agents always come to us with like wide open eyes about like, wow, this house looks incredible, and it's strictly because of the attention to detail, I think,
Right.
that you have inside the home.
Thanks.
Let's get into some weird stuff. What's some craziness that's happened at some of these listing shoots? Because I know the last time we spoke, we shot, there was a home out in the country, avid Second Amendment holding person.
That house.
Yeah, that house. A lot of guns. So that was a little shocker.
Well, the neighbor had to let me in, so that was
So there was
cool.
already that.
And they opened the door with their wet dog in their arms, and I was like, I think I'm going to go. And they're
Yeah.
like, no, come in. Come on. Sit on the couch. And I'm like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Hey, this is my location.
Yeah, right. But no, there's been some classic stories.
Definitely.
Yeah, just rip one. Rip 1, 2, 3, go.
Okay,
Floor is yours.
so I guess I'm shooting this beautiful home a couple months ago. Gorgeous, like ideal. I was like in there for a few hours because like I could have been there for 8 hours. So I get locked out. I put the lockbox on the front door and I'm like, where's my phone? And I leave my phone on the island in the kitchen and I'm like opening all the doors around the house, trying to get in. I noticed that the half bathroom is facing the backyard, and I'm like, I'm going to crawl through it. It's 5.5 feet.
I'll say a little altitude on it.
So I see a patio chair. I'm just doing everything I possibly can before like going over to the neighbor's house. So I get this chair, and basically it's way too tall, and I'm stuck just like
teetering in this window.
Yeah, legs just out. I'm about to like break my arms, like couldn't make the fall in because I could have probably broken the toilet.
Yeah.
So I'm like trying to get out and I just have bruises all over my legs the next day and I have to go to the neighbor's house to knock on the door and ask if I can borrow their phone and hope that they would answer. They answer. I call my boyfriend Kyle. He has to call Matt. Matt has to go into Kelsey's office. Kelsey has to call Lauren to get the garage code.
Right.
So
but even still,
I
like,
got in.
Right, which is again like kind of like the pro versus a con of like our dynamic is that like theoretically like if you had called Kyle and you were just a photographer dealing with one-off agents, like who's Kyle going to call?
Right, exactly. Well, that's also really why I think it's important that we have like how our team's so close knit and how
Right.
it's effective to have your own photographer in your brokerage because not only is it like efficient, but I've also like gotten close with the agents and I have like great relationships with a lot of them and like in order to call 5 different people to get to Lauren and Lauren's able to laugh it off instead of like be mad at me, like I think that's really cool.
Right. It's pretty unique, but it doesn't stop there. I definitely recall you and a foot going for a swim.
Is this the pool story? Yeah, the pool story is a good one.
Yeah. Probably a year ago, I'm like shooting the backyard. The sellers are like doing lawn work, which is a great time to be doing that.
It's ideal.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm walking around the pool and my foot goes right through the
skimmer basket. Yeah.
Yep, breaks it. My foot goes through. I can't get my foot out. I'm wearing jeans and Vans that day. And I'm like trying.
We keep it casual sometimes.
Right. Keep it
Cash.
And I'm trying to get my foot out without them seeing me. And then they finally see me and I like pull my leg out. It's just sopping wet. They're like, oh my God, is it okay? Are you okay? Like, I was like,
is it okay?
I'm like, They're like, did you break it? And I was like, definitely.
Yeah,
I was like, I'll buy you a new one. Like, they're like, do you think this is going to be an issue? I'm like, the house is still going to sell. Like, we were in the time where they were just getting off the market.
Right.
I'm like, it's a pool home. It's fine. So I had extra shoes in the car and yeah. We always find a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah. We don't really have the same like HIPAA violation that like medical records do, but like we usually don't like to disclose like any insanity that doesn't happen.
Right.
But yeah, I often think of that. I'm like, I like want to just send a camera with you because some of the just like the things you encounter sometimes, it's not even necessarily
even
in the
today.
home. Today.
I get there, it's a vacant house. I turn the key, I'm inside, I'm walking around looking at it, and all of a sudden the alarms start going off and just like adrenaline, and I like run out. I'm like scared the cops are gonna like start coming down the road. I call the agent, they're like, oh, I had no idea there was an alarm. So they have to call the seller. The seller has to call him back to give him the code. And I'm just like, please, I hope. Yeah, it was so loud. I was like, oh my gosh, I hope everything's gonna be fine. And then the vibe was just like off, and I was paranoid the whole time. So.
You got to bring sage to the house. Like after that happened, you just like sage the house.
Yeah, something.
Just get like I think we need to get you crystals or something.
Yeah, I'll just like lay them out and take a detail shot of it.
Exactly.
Can you imagine the seller walking in and you got crystals laid out on their kitchen
or
table?
just saging the place? I'm just saging. We sage all of our listings.
It's fine.
Yeah,
I'm there for 5 hours.
So this is how we're gonna lay out the marketing. First thing, saging.
They're like, what's that?
You guys stage homes? Saging. We sage homes. We're not staging homes. We're saging them. We're getting rid of all the bad juju that this home might have. No, that's really classic. No, we're not going to sage. We're not going to sage homes.
extra $1,000 to sage your home.
Yeah, right. We get like a doctor, and witch doctor in there, there's a voodoo doctor, energy in there, clearing it out. What else are we doing to make sure that our listings kind of like stand out, and not necessarily even on the MLS, but like on platforms like Zillow and Realtor.com, kind of like other tech that we're using?
So basically, we're using a 3D home, and it creates a floor plan. I walk throughout the home with a monopod and a camera, and once I submit it, Zillow is then able to create a floor plan and gives you a layout of the home. So when someone's going on Zillow and walking throughout the home, they can just kind of like see what room they're about to go into next, or just the layout of the home in general. Yeah,
it's a pretty cool VR experience. I'll see if we can get it to flash on screen. But it's basically you're looking at a blueprint of the house, and then your physical location in the house and where you're looking and where you're facing. So a lot of people who don't understand it, I'm sure agents have either seen it and don't have access to it. As Premier partners, and like we have Market VIP, we're kind of like privy to some things that other people aren't.
Right.
So they might not be.
And that's a huge feature too.
It's huge. I mean, I think when I was speaking with DJ, he's like, dude, these homes with this technology, I don't want to like misspeak, but it's like an 80-something% higher save rate than without.
Right.
Just because of the experience. I mean, think about like if you, let's say you saw a home and then you're sending it to your parents who live in Michigan. They can literally see the entire layout and as if they were in the home too, and get like a kind of a 90% experience of like what it would have been like had they walked the home themselves.
And not only that, but I don't take, photos of the garage necessarily or closets. And the good part about the floor plan, it lets you know the closet, the dimensions, how many pantries there are, the laundry room, if there's a 3-car or 2-car garage, like what like the dimensions are really of that. So that's cool.
Right. To get a bit of scale, I think too, again, like from walking in the home. Before we kind of I want to talk about our coming soon, because I think that's where we like really, really thrive.
Okay.
So a quick little, without giving away too many meat and potatoes and like secrets, because like I guess technically it's not really a secret. It's just kind of like something we put together and then we got like a really good promise with, but you also have to have the database and then also the regular connections with your database, or else you're just going to be like sending somebody who you sold a house to 3 years ago like this random video of a home. They're like, what is this?
Right.
So like our coming soon marketing, what's something that you do on site at day of photos that allows us to pre-market to our sphere of essentially 180,000 people?
Right. So one of the things we do is, do a video walkthrough of the whole property. And then as soon as within the same day, I can then, create a link and send that out to the agent. And then if that agent knows someone in the office who's looking for a property in that area, they can then send them that before it even hits the market.
Right.
So that's huge in itself too. And we've sold a lot of homes just like quickly and under the...
Well, for two reasons. I mean, you got to think, one, someone's seeing it, so we're providing serious value to people, and especially in the market that was such that, 8 months ago, it was just insane that people were seeing this before it even hit market.
Multiple people.
But we're able to get data back before it hits market so that we know how accurate pricing, price per square foot, presentation, all these things are that normally you'd have to probably wait 3 or 4 weeks into being on market to get back. 2 weeks, you usually, like anytime we're testing anything, we usually say about 2 weeks is like, a substantial test. But realistically, like, are you going to leave a home on the market for 2 weeks and just be like, nope, we're not getting it, let's drop that sucker's price? Right. No, you're probably going to wait like at least 4 weeks.
Right.
Right. So we're able to get that data back before we go live. And if we don't get that data back, it's because we nailed it on the head.
Right.
So we're constantly getting better at like, yep, this is exactly where this should have been priced based on features, comps, etc.
Yeah, the coming soons are huge because I don't think anybody else really does that.
They kind of, I mean, it's
anywhere
solely based on our database, because our market, at the very least, you can't publicly market coming soons.
Well, and sure, you can have a different agent, take a video walkthrough of a home, but that's going to be, choppy, not really professional, doesn't have a link with a title, and that presentation is key. Like, you can only make a first time impression once.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that I think that's really big. So, I mean, I think aside from, we can't really get into other details of that. Yeah, it's super hush-hush proprietary. But as we wrap up, I think the biggest thing, and I save the best for last, is because you are not just a 2-year employee here. You are now officially a homeowner.
Yes.
After 2 years of working here, you
Finally
have purchased a home. Tell us a little bit about it.
It's a great home in a great location.
How did it go? Obviously, you became now the customer, so give us that perspective.
It was interesting to kind of resonate with the other side,
right,
and really see how much our team is efficient and really does work for the customer. You know, you have your transaction coordinators, and then you have, you know, your agent that you're working with, and then you have your title and all of that. But it's great because with DJ&Lindsey Real Estate, there's just like certain people on your file.
Right.
Shout out Emily Holland. Shout out Theo.
Shout out Emily. Shout out Theo.
They worked great together, and they were constantly reassuring me that everything's fine. If there was a problem or a question, you could text them day or night, no matter what time it was. They're really receptive in that. And of course, home buying is stressful, but they did it quick and they did it efficiently, and were there like literally 100% of the time. So,
and even though, first time home buying is anybody who hasn't owned a home in 2 years, 3 years, 2 years. This is your first home, like the first home that you've purchased. So you're not just a first time home buyer by definition.
Right.
Quite
first
literally
timer.
a first timer. You and Kyle, congratulations on that.
Thanks.
And we have a new addition to your family.
Yeah, we just got a puppy.
Nice.
His name is Scout.
Not the only one though.
Camper.
OG.
Yeah, OG.
The OG camp. OG number 1, day 1. Perfect boy.
Yeah, he's perfect. Thank you. Say it again.
Perfect. Thank you. But anyway, yeah. So life is thriving. I love that. Again, I'm just so proud of you from the moment that I interviewed you until now, the things we've had to do in order to move this company forward and make sure that our agents have everything they possibly need. Shout out to the rest of our team.
Yeah.
Too.
Woo.
But it's just, I'm extremely proud of you, like
Thanks,
taking the bull by
Todd.
the horns. And
Are you crying?
No.
Don't cry.
Okay. Anyway, this podcast is sponsored by Audible. Audible's a great way for you to listen to books because you're on your way to showings or you're shooting homes. We have a referral code somewhere. Matt knows it. It's like tryaudible.com/DJ&Lindsey. But what's most important is it's DJ&Lindsey everywhere. So follow us, like, share, subscribe. DJ&Lindsey across the board. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Smash that subscribe button. And again, thanks, Joe.
Thanks.
See ya.
See ya. I'm sweating.